Hi everyone, welcome to this edition of Talk at Thamesmead Online. I'm so sorry for a bit of a delay, a few technical problems, but we got there in the end. So my name is Sarah Jane and I work in the Regen team in Thamesmead. And we've been doing these sessions for a few months now, just to really try and get information about all the stuff that we're doing. As this is December, coming towards the end of the year, we are doing a little bit of a retrospective in terms of what's been happening in Thamesmead in 2021. I don't know if you've ever done one of these webinars before, but we can't hear you or see you. However, there is a Q&A button down at the bottom. So if you would like to ask us a question while we are doing the presentations, then please do put your question in the Q&A button and we will pick those up at the end. We have three panelists today with us. So I'm just going to ask them to pop up and just introduce themselves. So John, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
I would, yeah. Hi, my name is John Lewis. I'm the Executive Director responsible for Thamesmead and really pleased to be able to join the session this evening.
Thanks, John. And Phil, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello there, good afternoon or good evening now. It's so dark so early, it feels like in the middle of the night already. My name is Phil Askew. I'm Director of Landscape and Placemaking in John's team at Thamesmead. Thank
you, Phil. And we have Dan.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dan Wells. I'm the Community Health and Wellbeing Lead for Peabody.
Thank you. Cheers, Dan. Okay, right, I'm just going to share my screen, so bear with me. And so first up, we have John. So John, would you like to take it away?
I will. Thank you very much, Sarah Jane. So just by a bit of introduction, I think it's fair to say it's been a really busy year and also a complicated year because of course, we still were very much in lockdown at the beginning of 2021 for nearly half the year. And I think as things have got very busy over the last few months, we've probably started to forget that a little bit. But the great thing is we were able to continue to move forward with our plans in Thamesmead, which basically are all there to help improve and look after Thamesmead for the long term. So just to run through some of the big events or highlights onto the next slide, I think probably the biggest thing for us this year has been the completion of the first phase of Southmere. So it's 135 homes have been completed. For those living in Thamesmead, hopefully you will have had a chance to have a walk around and look at what's been built. We've also been able to bring some of the existing residents from across the road in Lesness Estate have moved into some of the new housing in the development, and also we've welcomed new residents completely new to Thamesmead who have bought some of the flats that have been on the market, and they've already moved into their flats or townhouses alongside the lake. So really exciting to see this literally coming alive now, and hopefully people have started to see that we've been very committed to building high quality homes, and I hope that anyone's had the chance to look at it will recognise they absolutely are a high quality result. Also on the next slide, we've sort of seen the partial completion of Cygnet Square. You can tell by the hoardings it's not completely there yet, but you've got a really good sense of what it's going to be like when it's completed. It started to take shape. We've got the water fountain, which was in action over the summer. And by the looks of how many very damp kids we saw throughout the summer, it was clearly extremely popular and will be as the weather warms up in the new year. We've also had a number of test events to see how it starts to work as a really great civic space. So really pleased with that. I think as you'll see behind the hoardings, as the second phase of the development comes through, you'll start to see shops, cafes, some of the practical uses like dentists, dry cleaners, those sort of things will be coming into the units underneath the apartment blocks, which again will mean a really great facility new to Thamesmead. So on the next slide, we are probably, me personally, most proud of what's been built here. This is the nest. That is not a computer generated image, that's real. And just really chuffed with the way this has turned out, and also really pleased because the new community space is already open for use. We're starting to use it as a bit of a base for some of our work on a day-to-day basis as well, and it is just the most amazing new room that's up overlooking the lake and is available for hire for community groups as we go through now. And also the library, which is on the ground floor, is being fitted out in readiness for opening in 2022. That's being done by Bexley Council, and so we'll have a new permanent library, one of the first in the borough for decades actually, and great to see in Thamesmead. So on to the next slide. We are also very conscious that we need to keep the whole sort of programme moving in terms of, you will have seen some of the sites that have been cleared over the year, ready for new homes. And also we are anticipating a whole new development across Lesness over the coming years as well. So to get ready for that, we've been working with everyone locally to plan for a new outline master plan. And that was submitted to Bexley Council during this year. And we're expecting a decision about that hopefully as soon as January. So we're just weeks away from seeing this outline planning consent, we hope. And what that means is we will have a real understanding of how the new Lesness will look, as we're calling it the South Thamesmead area, but we will see what that will, or how that can shape up over the coming years, so we can see more new homes and new spaces within the area. Next slide, please. So we're going to jump away from South Thamesmead over to the other side towards West Thamesmead. This is a really interesting development that got planning this year and has now started on site, which is for a huge development. Actually, it's 1,750 new homes. It's being built for us by Berkeley Homes, and in that total development there'll be over 700 affordable homes available as well. It's going to be built out in phases, and I'm really pleased to say that the first phases will be the affordable homes. So that means that really important home need will get covered as we move forward with this scheme. Also, as part of it, there is a large park that it's designed around, as well as improved access to Plumstead Station. So a real improvement just beyond the housing themselves. You'll actually see a huge environmental lift as well. And then on the next slide, something even bigger, but very long term, is the whole redevelopment of the town centre and the new Thamesmead Waterfront. Now, as you may have heard us speak about this before, but the town centre, we feel, and certainly you've told us you feel, really needs a huge uplift to provide the facilities, activities and interests that all of us would like to enjoy in Thamesmead as the town grows over time. We've got 2 kilometres of waterfront there and a hell of a lot of areas that have never been developed before. So what we've started to do is bring together what we're calling a strategic master plan. And what that's really about is how can you plan a whole new neighbourhood in Thamesmead to provide new housing, new schools, health facilities, job opportunities, new shops, and basically better entertainment spaces as well. So that's what the master plan hopes to do, to bring together that, so this could be built in or brought forward in an extremely thoughtful and interesting way over the coming years. Also part of that is the opportunity to bring a new DLR station into the town centre, connecting Thamesmead to the DLR and the tube network, which of course that's never been achieved before. So we'd be absolutely delighted to see if we can get that agreed over the coming year as well. Next slide, please. It's also not just been about building. I think it's really important that we stress that, because we've been really delighted to be able to start delivering our cultural programme again as well, with the COVID restrictions lifting. That really got going in the summer with the 3rd Thamesmead Festival for us. It was our biggest yet, over 6,000 people coming along to that. A really successful day, and very fortunate with the weather, but we're completely inspired and encouraged about the popularity of this, so we're already in the planning stages of the event for next year. On the next slide, we also hosted an amazing live theatrical performance on the Waterfront site. Again, well, the day I went to it, it was dry and bright, which was amazing. Really fabulous thing to see live in such an incredible setting, and that was part of Greenwich and Docklands International Festival. And then on the final slide here from me, it was only just a few weeks ago that we enjoyed the Winter Light Festival. It's the 2nd Light Festival we've done. We grew it into a bigger event this year. I think it was over 3,700 people turned up to walk the route of the lights from Lesness Abbey to Southmere, and just a really stunning event. This was probably the worst weather we've ever had in Thamesmead, but we were just so pleased to see so many people turning up to that event. So that gives a bit of headlines from me. It's been a great year from our perspective. And now I'd like to hand over to Phil, who'd like to take us through a bit more around the world of landscape.
Thank you, John. That's brilliant. Thank you. So I've got a few slides really just to mostly taken, I have to say, in better weather than we are having today, to show you some of what I think are some of the highlights of this year. So SJ, if we could move to the first slide. So in South Thamesmead, we've been doing a lot of work on the existing area of housing and landscape, and this is one of the courtyards in South Thamesmead, which looked fantastic over the summer, and I'm pleased to say that a couple of weeks ago we won an award from the Landscape Institute for excellence in landscape design and planting design, and much of this planting, apart from looking nice, is also designed to encourage, you know, insects, nectar feeding insects, birds, bees, etc. So a really good, if you like, win an award for South Thamesmead, and for all the work that our contractors, our designers put in. But also I know the residents, you know, putting up with quite a lot of disruption over that period. So I much appreciate their forbearance as well. But moving on, and we're now looking at South Thamesmead Garden Estate, and one of the things that we've done, which I think is fantastic, is worked far more closely with the community design collective, who work very closely with us. Sarah Jane has been putting in some sterling work, helping us manage that process. But really importantly, you know, a bunch of residents working with our designers and us, Peabody, to help shape their place and their environment. And it's been really fascinating working with them, and I think a very fulfilling and worthwhile way to do things. So one of the things that resulted in part at least, is the next slide, the edible garden, which as you can see here, was planted last summer with a lot of edible material, including everything from grapevines to tomatoes and many others, and fantastically maintained by the people who live around there. And I have to say that they've been doing an amazing job and really taking this place to their hearts, which has been such a great thing to see. Not so easy to come out sometimes and get your kids out on a summer's evening when they would prefer to be doing other things than watering plants, but it's been happening here, and I think that's been really quite something to see. Next, please. So another thing that we've done over the last few months is, and it might not seem the most exciting thing in the world, but I think it is really important, is put a whole load of new waste bins in Thamesmead, over 140 in fact. You know, we've recognised the concern of people for littering and rubbish, but also for things like animals pulling rubbish out of open bins, etc. So we've now got a whole new set of bins which are very much branded for Thamesmead. A lot of the locations were plotted with local residents, and in fact the design was partly helped out with some of the local people. So it's a real team effort in that case. And I think they may only be litter bins, but I think they are smart and they do the job. And it's great to see some of these improvements being made to our existing open spaces. But moving on from improvements to excitement, a couple of months ago, Jack in my team, Jack Gower, led an event in Buttswood and on the canals there to get a whole load of people to test the water, no pun intended, for canoeing in Thamesmead, or is that kayaking? I'm never entirely sure what the difference is. But what was so fantastic was to see a whole load of local residents of all ages and abilities out on the water, splashing around, and getting involved in what is, I think, one of Thamesmead's most extraordinary assets, its lakes and canals. And I really hope that next year and beyond we can do more of this sort of thing, because it certainly attracted a huge amount of attention. But moving on, and I'm showing better and better pictures as we go because this weather is getting me down, are the Crossways Meadows, which we brought back again this year. People love the meadows. We've actually expanded our approach. We did so on Abbey Way and in Southmere Park, and indeed on Claridge Way as well in the moorings. and I'm sure that we will develop this and do more. But what's so fantastic, particularly when people are locked down or working from home, is their ability to get out. And we've had many compliments about the colour, the insects, the whole thing that's been achieved here. And a huge amount of that, actually, I have to say, is down to our environmental services team, our in-house team, which done a great job putting this together. Another interesting part of Thamesmead is on the next slide, where we have this year counted our trees for the first time. And much to, I think, our amazement, we found that within Thamesmead we have over 50,000 trees, which is extraordinary. This is not just a few trees, this is a whole forest. So we're now thinking, well, okay, we've got all these trees. Do we need more trees? Do we need to replace trees as they get older? Some of the trees in Thamesmead, you know, are getting a little bit long in the tooth. So we're thinking about, you know, how we can look at this going forward. And I think we're very keen that the community is involved in that process. But I think it's recognised now the importance of trees in urban areas and places like Thamesmead. In hot summers, they help cool the air. They're good for wildlife. And of course, they make a very pleasant place to move around in the summer. So more on that, I hope, coming up next year. But next and finally, this year we put a whole series of walks together around our green infrastructure framework, living in the landscape. And this was really to get local residents out and about and to get their views on some of the things that we are thinking about and have a good walk and talk at the same time. Unfortunate picture of me pointing. I always seem to be pointing at something or another, but just a glorious view of the Thames in the background. I hope that we'll be doing more of these next year when the weather's better, and I encourage people to keep an eye out for the opportunity to come out for a walk and to talk about the great landscapes of Thamesmead and some of the sorts of things which you would like to see and we're thinking about. So that's me done. Thank you very much indeed. Over to Dan.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, Dan, when you're ready.
Thanks, Phil, and thanks, Sarah. Yeah, hi everybody. So I'm Dan Wells. I'm the Community Health and Wellbeing Lead for Peabody, and I'm representing the 4 strands of work that make up our socio-economic team in Thamesmead. So really, I'm going to pull out a couple of highlights from each strand, a couple of projects that we can look forward to in the next 12 months, and then just finish with a little bit of support that's available for families over the next month or so. So if we can move to the first slide, thanks, Sarah. So the Economic Inclusion Team. So this is an image from the Greenwich Business Awards, which were held in October, and they aim to celebrate and recognise what businesses have achieved over the last 18 months, despite the challenges of the pandemic. And there were 4 businesses that engaged with Peabody, with the Peabody Enterprise Programme, that were shortlisted for Greenwich Business Awards. 2 of these businesses went on to win, one of which was Unagi & Co Limited, won the Young Entrepreneur Award and Thamesmead-based business, and Fast Shield Packaging won the Greener Greenwich Award and were crowned outright winners of the Business of the Year Award on the evening. So many congratulations to those guys for those accolades. The second thing for this team is the online jobs and apprenticeship fair, which was held last month over 2 days. The response from both attendees and partners attending was absolutely amazing. Over 430 people registered individually for the event, with over 1,260 individual bookings for the webinars. We got a little quote from one of the residents in Thamesmead who attended. So this is Elsa, who said that a well put together job fair with lots of useful information and speakers that knew what they were talking about. I was most impressed about the NHS, as I'm trying to get into the NHS. She went on to also say that she found out that apprenticeships in the NHS were not just for 16 to 24-year-olds, it's actually for all ages. And the lady that she was speaking to was actually on her 4th apprenticeship. Overall, the job fair exceeded her expectations, and she gives a well done to the Peabody team and all the partners involved for their great work. Just to finish on this slide with a couple of opportunities to look out for. So the team have recently launched a monthly training offer newsletter, which provides residents and partners with access to all of the opportunities on offer via Peabody and their partners. So that's something that you can sign up for with our skills and training team. And the second thing to note is that we're currently working with London Borough of Bexley to bring in business support and opportunities based at the Nest in the new year. So this will include a series of support such as e-commerce, information, advice and guidance, which will also include the support for non-Peabody residents to get back into work, one-to-one job coaching, digital skills and enterprise support. Thanks, Sarah. If you can move to the next slide for me. So the second team, the children, families and young people team. So one of the programs that was delivered this year is the Youth Build program. So for those of you who don't know, Youth Build engage with organisations and employers in the construction industry to encourage them to offer work opportunities to disadvantaged young people. In August this year, 15 local young people graduated from the Youth Build program, gaining a range of accredited and non-accredited outcomes. The significant pastoral support provided by Youth Build has meant that they have supported some vulnerable young people to stick with and complete the training. The aim of the programme is to empower disadvantaged young people aged 14 to 25-year-old who are at risk from social exclusion, those who are already excluded, and for young offenders. The second highlight that I've pulled out from this work stream is the Inclusive Activities Summer Programme. So Peabody partnered with Access Sport and Waterways Children's Centre in the summer to deliver an inclusive programme for children with special educational needs and disabilities, as well as their families in Thamesmead. Activities included multi-sports, yoga, dance and cycling, and were delivered by Access Sports and their partners. 36 children and their families participated in the inclusive programme, and the feedback that's been received has been really, really positive. And now many of the families who were interested in attending those regular activities are going on to do so beyond that programme, which is a really good thing to see. A couple of opportunities with this work stream to look out for is the Advice in Schools programme. So recently we were been working with Royal Borough of Greenwich and have been successful in attracting funding for this Advice in Schools project, which will operate in 2 schools initially in the spring, followed by a further 2 in the summer. So this will mean that parents will be able to access a range of services currently available through either Live Well Greenwich or Positive Steps Thamesmead, which is the social prescribing programmes available locally. And we've commissioned through this new funding 2 additional advice providers, which are Greenwich Housing Rights and Lewisham Refugee Migrant Network, to whom clients can be referred. Clients will be able to see advisors from these agencies in the Mooring Social Club when it opens also in the new year. And then the last one to mention on this is the thanks, Sarah. So sticking with the children and young people and families. So the other programs of note to raise today is the Fresh Minds program, which is a program that offers young adults between the ages of 18 and 25 the opportunity to participate in counselling, CBT, life coaching, group work, and the opportunity to be mentored. The funding for this programme was received through the Peabody Community Foundation, and it's the aim to have at least 50% of the participants either Peabody residents or those living in Thamesmead. Many of the activities will actually take place in Thamesmead, with some at the sporting club and other community spaces too. The project will run for 1 year initially, with the aim to engage with over 80 adults. So this is a programme we're concentrating some more support and promotion for the new year to engage more young people in Thamesmead. If you can move to the next one for me, Sarah. Thank you. So I've got a couple of things to sort of mention on Birchmere Park. So you'll see from the image, this is one of the brand new facilities that we've had installed in Thamesmead. So in January 2021, so this year, we were awarded funding from the London Cricket Trust and the ECB for a brand new cricket pitch facility at Birchmere Park, which you can see in all its glory on this slide. It was installed in May, and we hosted a launch event with St Margaret Clitheroe School and some local partners and councillors in July, which is where this photo was taken from. And since then, there's been a really good level of cricket activity, with both platform cricket and wave coaching delivering regular weekly sessions at the new facility over the last 6 months. And that's something we hope to develop further and increase the participation in cricket in Thamesmead. Just sticking with the theme of Birchmere for the moment, is that there's been recently a subgroup that's been formed from members of the community, with the aim of being able to feed into and influence the development of the Birchmere changing rooms, which will support obviously the activity taking place in the park. This is a subgroup of the Moorings Neighbourhood Forum and consists of people from that forum, as well as the local football group that use the space, the fishing group and the local school, so St Margaret Clitheroe, which is the nearest one to the site. The group began to meet and discuss how to gather ideas for the development of the changing rooms, and they've conducted a community survey to gather local insight from the community. They had well over 100 responses that fed into this community survey, which has helped develop a community brief which will go to the architects for the next phase of this work. Sticking with the physical activity theme, so the Thamesmead Cycle Hub offers a range of sessions, has offered a range of sessions to people this year, from beginners and learn to ride sessions for adults and children, which take place on Saturdays at the Sporting Club Thamesmead, as well as family cycle courses which are taking place during the school holiday periods. We've had well over 100 adults and children participate in the sessions, learning to ride and borrowing the bikes we have at the Sporting Club, as well as obviously utilising their own. As part of this programme, we've worked closely with schools to identify families that would benefit from the second-hand bike scheme that we run as part of the hub, which is where we repurpose second-hand bikes and donate them back into the community. So as a result of this, we've donated over 50 bikes and repurposed them through this scheme, and they are now currently being used by Thamesmead residents. And this is something that will be continuing in the new year. And one of the upcoming programs with this theme is that with all of the new community spaces that are the Moorings Neighbourhood Forum in the new year, we're working to develop a...
Dan, you keep going on mute.
Someone keeps trying to ring me.
I see.
So we're looking to develop the community activity and exercise programme, which will be working with local providers and instructors to include a range of physical activity sessions across Thamesmead and across the portfolio of community spaces. So including the likes of the Sporting Club, the Nest, the community centres, and the Moorings Sociable Club, which will come online in the new year. If you can move to the next slide for me, Sarah. So this encompasses two parts of work really for us. So the communities facilities team, which is where I'll start. So as John mentioned earlier, the Nest is the new community space that's opened in November, and during the first few weeks of opening, there's been lots of inquiries to use the new space, and they've already got some regular hirers signed up using the space for regular activities and one-off hire events. And actually this month, in just over a week's time, on the 16th of December, the communities team with local partners are hosting an open day to the Nest to invite partners, local organisations, businesses to see the space and explore options for hosting events and hiring the space for functions. The Thamesmead Community Fund is a pot of money that's available for not-for-profit community groups, charities and organisations, as well as local residents. And we've had three really successful rounds of funding this year. So in February, June and October, which saw a range of community projects receive funding. One of which is a community project delivered by Craft A, who ran Knit and Natter sessions, who ran Knit and Natter sessions throughout the lockdown and pandemic. And one of their participants has provided a nice quote for us, which I'll read out. So this is a lady that took part in the session. So at first she was reluctant to take part, and she thought she would leave after a couple of sessions. But after 15 weeks, she's still there, accessing the regular weekly sessions. She cannot believe what she's achieved. She took some of her work to another group meeting at the Feel Good Co-op Centre, and they actually give her a round of applause in that meeting once she showed them the work that she'd done. Talking to the Feel Good Co-op Centre leader, they liked her craft work so much that actually the leader of those sessions has also joined the Knit and Natter group. So it's expanded those sessions and participants throughout the community to residents as well as local deliverers. Just a couple of opportunities to draw your attention to. So the Moorings Sociable Club will be opening in the new year, and similarly to the plans we've had for the Nest and the activation of that space, this will be something that we'll be doing for the Moorings Sociable Club as well. So likely to be an open day in the new year with taster activities, community tours of the space, and we'll, as part of the Thamesmead Community Fund, look to ring fence some funding for projects that are specifically aimed at activating that space. And lastly, on this slide, I'll just want to draw attention to the Thamesmead Community Fund's next round will be opening towards the end of January. So again, that's a pot of money that's available for community groups and residents to apply for funding for up to £2,000 to run projects in their community. Last slide for me, Sarah. Thank you. So nearly at the end of my slides. So just to raise some awareness for some of the support that's available for families and people throughout December. So Positive Steps is the social prescribing program for Thamesmead, and people can receive help with debt advice, housing advice, benefits advice, counselling and mental health, food bank vouchers, help with immigration issues. So people can self-refer into this program by contacting the Positive Steps phone number, which we can provide hopefully one way or another, Sarah, either as a follow-up or as part of the meeting today. Second thing is that there is a food club currently operating in the moorings on Friday mornings, and people can join this food club for a £1 membership fee and then get a bag of shopping worth £15 on a weekly basis for just £3.50 per week. They're currently taking on more members, and people are welcome to just turn up on the day, or they can make inquiries with the food club in advance. That's based at the Christian Life Centre in the moorings. Some volunteer opportunities that are available at the moment, such as digital champions, Thamesmead Family Mile ambassadors. The food club are also actually looking for volunteers to support that food club, as well as some of the gardening opportunities through the Making Space for Nature project that Phil Wright mentioned earlier. And lastly is the support around digital inclusion. So we have our digital champions program that's available for people in Thamesmead, and currently we have 5 digital champions supporting one of the older people's community groups in Thamesmead with access to digital content and supporting them using devices to gain access to the internet. And this is something we'll be rolling out into the new year, and it will also be housed in some of the community spaces. So there'll be support for people to go and book appointments with with digital champions to receive that support. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Dan. That was really interesting. I've just put up this slide actually. So this is kind of all of our main contact details. But I know Dan was talking about the food club, the community fund, etc. I will put all of those details on the your attendance email, so you will have those details. And then any other, if you do have any questions after the end of this, please use this. There's lots of ways that you can contact us. Okay, so I'm just going to unshare now, and then what we'll do is we've had quite a few questions, so I'm just going to go through some of those questions, and let's have a look. So John, can you tell me when people might start moving into the Plumstead West Thamesmead development?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, I mean, it's a huge scheme. So I think we're probably 2 years away from anything being completed. But as I say, I think it's 6 phases in total. And the first 2 phases will be some social rental housing and some general needs housing and some shared ownership. But I would think the absolute earliest got to be 2.5 years, I would think.
Okay, thank you, John. Also, someone shared an article you did mention around pedestrians on the site. I don't know if you've seen this article, so I won't get you on the back foot.
What, people accessing the site?
Yeah, so we've had a question around the new development in Plumstead isn't catering for pedestrian safety, and she shared there's a link to an article.
Oh, okay. Oh, if I could have that shared, we could maybe come back with a response when we have a chance to consider it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And then I've got some really nice comments actually. So Blue Hills event was amazing. So that's really good to hear.
Was that from me? Was that me sending them?
Yeah, from John Lewis.
Yeah, whoever he is.
And also some praise for the new bins, which I agree, because it's nice now that none of the foxes and God knows what drag all the rubbish out of the bins. That's really good. Thank you. And then there was a question around the kayaking, or the kayaking, yeah, canal/kayaking, and whether we'll be doing any more, Phil.
I certainly hope so. I think without doubt, you know, it was so popular and we recognise it. You know, to be honest, we weren't sure quite how it would turn out, but loads of people came and took part. Families, kids, parents, you know, everybody. But more than that, a lot of people who were walking around out and about at that time also were saying, you know, we'd really like to see more of this, and we would too. So you know, we'll be looking to do more, definitely. I mean, I think, you know, we've got such a extraordinary network of canals and lakes. The opportunities for exploring those, for learning about water, for having a great time are really almost unlimited. So yes, without doubt.
Brilliant, thank you, Phil. And also another lovely comment around the crossways meadows and those on Claridge Way. They've put, they think lots of people from outside Thamesmead came for the sunflowers as well. So yeah, that's really, really good. I know they were very, very popular on social media. They're very photogenic, those lovely flowers. So thank you for that. And then we have a question. Can we have the details for potential hall hire at the Nest, please? Dan, I know you probably know the answer to this question, but I will put those details. There is like a generic email address, isn't there, and a telephone number that people can call if they want to hire one of our community spaces. So I will share that. Yeah, Dan's nodding. Thanks, Dan. Another question is around Knit and Natter. Is Knit and Natter going to happen again, please? And if so, do you know when?
I suppose that particular program was funded for a certain period of time, and their Craft Day have also applied for the most recent round of funding. So they're looking to run another program, whether it's the same or similar. That's probably for them to kind of give a bit of information on. But those projects will come live in January. So there is something that Craft Day will be delivering from January, which will be around a kind of similar ethos of craft, socialising, and developing that skill. So they're an organisation that are quite active locally. So yes, hopefully they'll be delivering more sessions.
Thanks, Dan. And do they deliver, do you know, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, I'm sorry, do you know if they deliver sessions not necessarily with us that maybe people could find out about? Do you know?
I don't know the answer to that. So what's probably most useful is if we include their some information about their organisation and where they've got some sessions available locally, as well as the program that's potentially been funded through the community fund. When we send out the information, we can do that.
Yeah. So just to clarify then, so that was funded by that community fund that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And that leads me nicely into my next question about the community fund. When does the community fund close for bids? I know you mentioned it was January opens.
Yeah, so we're just finalising the dates really. So we've had some discussions about increasing the length of time that it actually is open for. So whether that might be in place for January, I'm unsure, but it will open in January. Usually there's a 3-week window for people to develop their project ideas and access the application form. But what I would always encourage people to do is go onto the website. So if you go onto the Thamesmead Community Fund website, the application guidance is available all the time, all year round. So you can begin to start your formulating your answers to those questions and see the things that you need to provide. The community team, so Uzma in my team, as well as Georgia and Lisa from the culture team, are always on hand to support people with either talking through their ideas. So that can come through to us at the Thamesmead Community Team email. And there is also a Q&A session with the internal panel that will take place within that 3-week window that the fund's open for. So you can come to that Q&A session, ask us some questions, and that's the best thing to do. That's to make the most out of that Q&A, that you can ask the panel some questions and get some detailed sort of feedback and guidance for where to take your project.
Thanks, Dan. And you can get through onto the community funds page via our Thamesmead Now website, just to say that. Another question, don't unmute, doesn't say don't mute yet, Dan.
Yeah, come on, Dan.
Can you share the food club info? Oh, okay. Can you share the local food club info with, sorry, I'll read that again because that doesn't make sense. Can you share the food club info with local schools? Do we share the local info with schools?
Yes, yeah. So we work with a number of partners, so both internal colleagues as well as other organisations to refer and signpost people to the food club. And that's something we've done in the last few months to work with the schools in the closest proximity to the food club in the Moorings, and they are also referring families into the food club at the moment. Yeah.
So do people have to be referred?
It's not. You don't have to be referred. So you can just turn up on the Friday. So they're open on Fridays from 10 till 12, and you can go through the kind of registration process with the staff that are there. I guess from our side, we were trying to make sure that it benefits the people that need that support first, I guess, and then so if there are people that are identified by either the tenant family support teams or local schools or local organisations that would benefit from the food club, then that's kind of where we've created that referral pathway.
Okay, thank you, Dan. And then nice presentations, thanks. And then I've just got a couple of things. Actually, I think this is so it's asking around how did people find out about the canoe sessions and also about the knit and natter. Just to say, I think the best way is you can sign up to a monthly newsletter via our website that gets sent out electronically, and then also we have the imprint Talk of Thamesmead that we launched this year, which goes out quarterly, which generally will have, if it's within the right timescales, generally will feature stuff. Also following us on social media, so especially kind of the more immediate goings on, we put those things especially on Facebook and Twitter, and all of those details will be in the email. So I would just try and cover all bases, and then hopefully that you will find out about stuff. So yeah, and then there's just a question around assuming Hawksmoor and Windrush are on the list for the food club. Sorry, Dan, putting you on the spot again, but yes, you're nodding. Okay, that's brilliant. All right, thank you very much, everybody. That was really, really interesting. I am looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in 2022, which I can't actually believe it's 2022. So I just thank you for the panel for taking part. Thanks for everybody for listening. This will be put on YouTube, so you can listen back or watch back whenever you like, or share with other people. And also, as I said, you will get an email 24 hours from now, and that will have all our contact details on, and I will add those few details around the community centres and perhaps the Knit and Natter and the food club, Dan. I think there seems to be quite a lot of interest in that. So, okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. We were trialing these monthly, but I think the plan now is to maybe go bit longer periods, but maybe a bit longer presentations, maybe with some more speakers. But we will be putting all the details of the next lot of Talk of Thamesmead online on our website, and also keep an eye on social media. As I said, that is probably the best place for you to find out about stuff if you use social media. But yeah, so is it too early to say happy Christmas? I don't know. Happy Christmas. No, yes. All right, thanks everybody.
Okay, thanks Sarah Jane.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks everybody. Thanks Sarah.